You know how I always talk about we are exchanging energy with each other all the time? We also leave an imprint of our energy in buildings, so in houses, in workplaces, and it depends on the type of energy that you're sending out as to what I believe it like sits in the walls of houses. If you'll notice this when you go into a home where it feels like everybody in there is loving and it's a family type home, and everyone seems to be happy in there. You can feel it when you walk into their home, and then you can walk into another home and it kind of feels heavy. Like even if you've just walked into a place and someone's been in an argument, you can feel that energy. Like even though they're talking okay, you can just feel that you've just walked into something that is a heavy feeling. So I'm sharing a few things with you today about houses and holding on to energy. We've lived in quite a few houses over the years. This particular one here I felt very, very connected to it. And funnily enough, the previous owners of this house had 5 children, and we moved in with 4 children. And while we were in this house, we had our 5th child, so we also had 5 children. When I very first looked at this house, I had such a strong feeling of 3 Aboriginal people standing on that front veranda, like a father and a mother and a child. And I kind of felt like they were protectors of the land. Maybe their tribe lived on that land. I really felt as though they were protecting this house, and it had such a warm feeling. So when you went through that front door there was this really, really long passage. And at the end of the passage, I decided to put a mirror because it felt like it was some sort of portal, or because we all used to notice spirit energy coming up that passage, but they never seemed to go off the sides, like the rooms came off the sides of the passageway, but the spirit energies never, they just came from the passage and then sort of walked towards the front bedroom, and that was it. I don't know if that was their way of coming in and out. It was the wall at the end that they always disappeared into and then came through. It was like a portal. They'd go through it and then they'd come back again. So after a while of living in this house, we decided to renovate. And I'll show you what happened. I got up one morning after the concrete slab had been laid for a new room that was being built on, and as soon as I looked out, I was looking to see if the concrete had dried, and I'll show you what I noticed. The first thing I noticed was this face just looking back at me, and I had to go and grab my camera quickly and take a photo of it. It was just sort of the shape in the dirt, and can you see it? Can you see the face there? It kind of felt like this was one of the energies that was, helping protect our land. I didn't feel frightened by it or anything. Kind of to me, it was as though they were just showing me that the energy was still connected to the actual land. So I loved catching this vision on my camera. I also remember years ago, friends of mine had bought this really old home, and they'd lived in it for a while, and they'd never noticed any kind of, energy activity in the home. Everything was fine. And after they'd been there for a few years, they decided to renovate. And what they ended up doing was there was a hallway where the door went through to a kitchen, and it was next to a staircase. And they blocked it off. They blocked it off, and they ended up opening up another area, so you had to go around. And not long after they had blocked off this doorway, they started hearing, especially at night time when they were trying to sleep, they started hearing this banging sound. It was this like constant banging, kind of like if a window was just banging all the time, or a door was just sort of ajar and the wind was like knocking on it. And they would get up, and it sounded like it was coming from the kitchen, so they'd get up and and look around, and I couldn't see anything, you know, they couldn't feel anything. There wasn't any kind of, nothing was getting thrown around, or it was just this knocking sound. And so they ended up getting in a friend of mine who can pick up on energy as well. And she went through the house, and the moment she got to this, like where the doorway used to be, she stood there and she said, "Was there a door here?" And they said yes. And she said, "I can feel a man that used to live in this house, and he loved living in this house, and he's just moving his energy around, but you've blocked off the doorway, and it's kind of like he wants to just go through there, but you've blocked it off now." And so that's where this banging sound comes from. And, you know, it made me think, well, you know, aren't spirit energies, can't they just go through walls and go through doors? But I guess if you're an energy that lived in that house for a really long time, and that energy was used to going a certain way, you never got up in the morning and it went down the stairs into the kitchen, and that was a routine, and that imprint of that energy was continually doing that, of course it's going to, there's a block there now because the wall's been closed over. So that's why he was, you know, like disturbed. He was disturbed because somebody had changed his house. So I think that my spirit friend ended up having a, you know, like a communication with the spirit to try to guide him to go around another way. And soon after that, the knocking sound stopped. In this home that we lived in was our very, very first home that we bought together. And weirdly, at a certain time every single night, a sound would wake both of us up. And it was a sound like a bell. And all it did was go. And we both heard it. We'd both wake up from this sound and say, "What was that?" So we started sort of investigating the kids' toys. You know, maybe there was a battery, one of the kids' battery toys had been left on, and that was making a sound, and nothing there. And maybe there was a clock somewhere that made a sound at a certain time, nothing. And this went on for years and years. We would hear this bell sound at exactly the same time every night. That house was where I first started to do a lot of meditation. I started doing readings. So we were in our 20s when we moved into there. And it may have been because I was accumulating all this energy through work, and I wasn't using it. I was learning it and using it, absorbing it, but I wasn't getting it out there, which, you know, could have been trapping that energy into the house. I also had a lot of crystals break in this. I had like crystal, what do you call it? Like candle holders and dishes, and they would just break, just snap in half. So it never felt, it was like it was anything bad. It felt more like I was absorbing too much energy, and then the energy was too powerful because I wasn't putting it out. I wasn't using healing at the time, and I wasn't getting it out of me, so it was breaking things in the house. In the house that I'm living in now, there is two certain areas in the house where there is constant spirit activity. And you see in that photo where the front door is, there's two rooms. There's a lounge room on the right and my bedroom on the left, and a spirit will constantly walk between the lounge room and my bedroom, and a lot of spirits just enter my bedroom. My fourth son was standing at the fridge back in the kitchen area, and because you can see down to the front door from that area, and he turned and just noticed the spirit of a man. He could describe what he was wearing, because at first he thought, oh, Mum's got a man going into her bedroom. He looked very, very real, until he realised that it was just an energy. And I was in my room and I had my bedroom door shut, and this energy was standing on the other side of the door. It did not go through the door; it was just standing at the door. So that he didn't enter into my room, but many, many times the other kids that live in this house can look down at that passageway, and I will be in my room and they will see spirits go through. If the door's open or if the door's closed, they will see spirit energies going through that passageway and into my room. Um, it's a real busy area just there. And another area in the house is where you leave the hallway and you go down to another hallway. It's just like this corner area, and lots of people that will be in my like dining room or my kitchen will just look across there and see them go. You see them moving. You know, these two places in the house are very, very active with spirit energy. So you might find in your home yourself that they are particularly um, more active in certain areas of your home. I'll see if I can find the video. I did a video once filming down the passageway, and I'm pretty sure you can see an energy down there. So I was out the back in the garden one hot summer's night, and I kept looking through the window, and then down near the front door where I keep seeing spirits most of the time, I could see one standing there, and he was moving from room to room. So I grabbed my phone and just started recording, hoping that I'd be able to pick up the energy. And you kind of can see energy moving down under the light, down near the front door area. You can see it moving through from room to room. So I was out the back in the garden one hot summer's night, and I kept looking through the window, and then down near the front door where I keep seeing spirits most of the time, I could see one standing there, and he was moving from room to room. So I grabbed my phone and just started recording, hoping that I'd be able to pick up the energy. And you kind of can see energy moving down under the light, down near the front door area. You can see it moving through from room to room. I've been able to look at a Google picture, you know, of someone's home that they've sent me a link to where they live, and from looking on a Google search at a home, I can pick up what energies were living in that house before they were. Or, you know, sometimes it's not actually an energy that's left in the house. You can have an energy that attaches to you that comes home with you. You know, a lot of people that they only think that because they're in a really old home, it must be haunted, but it's not haunted. It's just the energy of all the different people that have lived in that home. And if you're in a brand new home, you're still having a lot of people work on that home, like a lot of the builders working on the home. How do you know they haven't brought an energy with them and the energy's decided to stay? How do you know that you haven't been out in the public and there's an energy that's just attached itself to you and it gels with your energy and comes home with you and likes being in your house? So, you know, I know houses have a very calming feeling as well. So I know when a lot of people are in my home, they always say, you know, all my friends that have been here will always say they feel very calm inside my home. But then I am constantly playing relaxation music, you know, and I'm doing this kind of work. So, of course, there's going to be just this lovely frequency through my home. If you go into a home that's chaotic, you know, that everyone is yelling at each other, and you can feel that it's like a tense energy in there. Buildings are the same, you know, workplaces. Some places just feel absolutely peaceful, and some you just want to run out of. I even have that with restaurants, and quite a few times I've gone out for dinner in a restaurant and I can't even get past the point of reading the menu, and I've got to get out of there. It's it's such a suffocating feeling. Like, I don't know what happened, if maybe there was a different kind of business in there before it was renovated into a restaurant, and I'm picking up something that happened. I've quite often picked up if there's been somebody been killed in a place out in public, and then, you know, the place had even been knocked down and something new had been built into a restaurant, and I've gone into that restaurant and I can't stay in there. It's just too intense for me to even enjoy my meal, and I have to leave. I've been in just a pub once, went into a pub and sat down, and I came over all like hot and sweaty and like I was going to pass out, and I just had to get out of there. And then when I did some research on the place, there had been a bad robbery in that place, and someone was killed in the area where the restaurant now was. So, you know, it it just, energy holds itself in so many different places, not just houses, in restaurants, in shops, in workplaces, and road accidents. When you have two cars and they crash and people die at that scene, there is a very dense energy that's left in that area. And then another car comes along and you can feel it. If you can feel that dense energy, it can disturb you to the point where then you end up having an accident, which adds to it. It grows. A deeper, intense energy will grow bigger and bigger. And then it becomes known as a hot spot, where like there's so many accidents that happen in the one spot because that energy, that deep, fearful, negative energy of people dying there has expanded. And then it's, as more people drive into it, they can feel it, and then they end up having an accident as well. And that's also why houses get a reputation for being haunted. People will take people for ghost tours, because if there is some negative energy in there, especially if it was like a mental asylum where most of the people that were in there before they died were of a very low vibrational energy, and that holds it closer to the earth. It's not a high energy, it's a low energy, and it's dense. And so when you go there and you feel it, people can go there with fear, and then fear adds more fear to the area. And then the more and more ghost tours that get taken through a place, the more and more people start to see and feel and notice these spirits, because the fear just keeps adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. You watch those things on the internet where someone's videoing, and they make it a bit dramatic. They're videoing that they're going to see a ghost, and they put music to it, and while most people are watching it, you can actually be creating a fear in expectation of what you're about to see, and you're adding to that. Your fear is adding to that whole picture. So it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then everyone starts feeling it. Everyone says, I don't want to go there, that's too scary, because it's containing everybody's fear. It might have started off as a small piece of fear, and now it's a huge one because you've added to it. So, and it's the same with places that are absolutely beautiful, places where people feel blessed and they feel like they got cured. There is something really special about a particular place that's healing, because that energy, when you're in there, and that energy is loving, it's coming from a loving and a beautiful place, and so you're expanding that as well. So then everybody else that goes into that area also feels that, and then it becomes known as a healing place or a place of beauty. So we are always adding our energy into what we are experiencing around us. So take notice. I like to keep my energy in my home as calm, and I want people that come into my home and then leave my home to feel that calmness, like they've had some kind of a release. Because for me, that makes me feel better, that they feel better when they leave. So I'd love to hear your stories about homes that you've lived in, whether you've felt scared in a home and you've contributed to that fear, or whether you feel absolutely beautiful. When you go looking at a home and you walk into it and you're like, oh, yep, this is me. I can see myself here. I just know I have to live here. And I've also done this thing when I've had to sell homes and move. I've always gone around the home that I've lived in and thanked it. Like, I just touch the walls and say, thank you for looking after our family. Thank you for protecting us. Thank you for all the memories that we have in here. Thank you for the love and the goodness that we felt in this home. And every time I've done that and said thank you, and I hope the new people that move into this home get to feel the love as much as we do. Our houses have sold quite quickly when I've done that. It's like a saying goodbye to the home and thanking it, thanking it for giving us a roof over our head, and having gratitude for the home. Because the way you think about your home, if you don't like where you live, you are putting negative energy into it, and that makes you feel like you're getting stuck there. So do whatever you can to try to bring in some positive energy into your home, so then you actually feel like you have gratitude that you have somewhere to stay at the moment. So I'd love to hear your stories about places that you've lived. Thanks for listening to me.